西非国家加纳因盛产可可被誉为可可之乡。这个历史悠久的国度有着丰富而独特的文化。今天的共建“一带一路”大使谈，我们就来到加纳驻华大使馆，和加纳驻华大使温弗雷德·哈蒙德先生一起聊聊他眼中的中国和他所理解的共建“一带一路”。Your Excellency, I've learned that you visited China before serving as the Ghanaian Ambassador to China in 2021 and have been interested in the country long before that. Could you please share with us some of your stories with China?
When I was growing up, many years ago in the early 1960s, one country that I knew to be Ghana's close friend was China. And you can imagine my desire and excitement one day to come to China. Moving forward, I worked with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, then moved on to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, and had the privilege to be sent here to China in the year 2013 with a team of Chinese colleagues and others to do an assessment of Chinese facilities in the field of agriculture and look at the extent of the agricultural development and how we can improve South-South cooperation between China and Africa. It was exciting what I saw. I had worked in many developing countries, many in Africa, in a few in South America, and a few in the Caribbean islands. But what I saw here was fascinating. The extent of development, even in the rural areas, was quite fascinating to me. I did not finish going through the 5 provinces I was supposed to visit, and I wrote my report that we don't even need to go further. This is the place to do South-South cooperation and have good cooperation to improve other developing countries.
You've also just mentioned this, that you've worked with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization.
That's right.
So from your point of view on agricultural and rural development, what is your comment on China's practice and experience in poverty reduction, and what are your expectations for the China-Ghana cooperation in poverty reduction?
It is a well-established fact that if you want to lift people out of poverty, you've got to develop agriculture in its entirety. Agriculture is not just about producing food, but what you do with what you produce and how that impacts the lives of the people. And to lift people out of poverty, they don't only need food to eat, they need to have the resources to be able to cater for other needs. So when you add value to your crops, to what you produce, whether livestock or crops, and you are able also to provide infrastructural linkages, the technological know-how for the people to be able now to bring their produce of good quality standard to other parts within the country and then outside the country, you are empowering the people. By empowering them, you're making them have the wherewithal to be able to take care of other needs, whether in education, health, and many other needs. This is what you would call lifting people out of poverty. And this is what China did. And I think this is an example to the rest of the world. For China to be able to do the lifting of 700 or more million people from poverty, it's unprecedented. And it is something that the world, especially in the developing part of the world, is looking up to emulate.
Well, that's really insightful ideas. The year 2023 marks the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative. What achievements have been made through the joint efforts between China and Ghana in promoting high-quality Belt and Road cooperation?
Yes, as you said, the 10th anniversary of the BRI, as we call it. Ghana joined about 5 years after that, in the year 2018. Where we signed the agreement. Prior to that agreement, we already have a lot of Chinese interest and investment in Ghana in many sectors. But signing of that agreement brought us to another level of cooperation in infrastructural development, investment, and trade. And I think for Ghana, we signed up with the aim of improving our infrastructure in terms of road and hospitals and schools, etc. And I can say that through the BRI and through Chinese institutions, Ghana has been able to improve its road network. We can talk about the one in the north in Tamale, in the Cape Coast area, and in many areas that infrastructure development has been on the increase through the BRI. And you know what this means? It's impacting the socio-economic life of the people, the fisher folks, who now could have good place for storage of their produce. They can add value to their produce, and they'll be able to make much more money. Their livelihoods, of course, improved. So the cooperation between Ghana and China through the BRI has been very impactful, to say the least.
We know the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area is located in the Ghanaian capital of Accra, and also China is one of the biggest trading partners of Ghana. So in terms of economic and trade promotion, how do you think the Belt and Road Initiative has benefited Ghana and other African countries?
Thanks for that important question. China is Ghana's biggest trading partner, as you rightfully said. And to many other African countries, I believe China is the biggest trading partner. Ghana is the second largest producer of cocoa in the world. Ghana, as of now, most of what it sells to the world is raw cocoa. It doesn't benefit the cocoa farmer very much. So it is about time we pay attention to adding value to what is produced in Africa. The continental free trade is established to integrate markets. And to integrate markets, you need to meet certain standards. But you also need to have good linkages between producers and users within, but also to have the linkages that will enable the continent as a whole free movement. This is where BRI comes in. Accra being the center or the capital, you can call it now the trade capital of Africa, we stand a good opportunity to attract investors. We're now calling on investors to come and help to add value to our products. Investors to come, help to manufacture, improve the manufacturing sector. Investors to come in all aspects. This is required that through the BRI, we will focus on these issues and address them properly.
As China is gradually resuming outbound tours, from your point of view, what are the tourism attractions and cultural charms of Ghana to Chinese tourists?
Ghana is full of many festivals, depending on which tribe you belong to. If you are from Accra, you have the Homowa Festival, which in itself has a lot of activities. We have several others. As you go to the north of the country, their culture is quite unique. And that is also where you have the Mole Game Reserve. What we are looking for in Ghana, we say Ghana is still a destination for tourists. But it's a bigger destination even for investors in tourism. We're looking for investors who will come and add state-of-the-art, state-of-the-architecture to our infrastructure situation to improve what we have. We are opening up to such tourists and such potential investors to come.
In recent years, China and Ghana have been making extensive efforts in promoting people-to-people exchanges while deepening economic and trade cooperation. So what areas would the two countries focus on in future cooperation, and what are your expectations for the next 10 years of the two sides' joint construction of the Belt and Road?
China is one of the topmost world-leading economies in the world. Then you want to be associated and have more exchanges by building the capacities of your people through such exchanges. And language, as you know, is key. I wish I could give this interview in Chinese. How proud I would have been. And so it is important. Many Ghanaian youth are now eager to learn this language. They're eager to really get to understand the Chinese culture. When we look down the line for the next 10 years, Ghana still needs to focus intensively on agricultural development that will focus on modern agriculture technologies, not just producing cassava, yam, or maize, but you are adding value to what you produce. Just the Chinese model, as I said from the beginning. 10 years along the line, if you don't start addressing climate change effect now, you are in big trouble. That is where China and Ghana should be focusing. Agriculture, green and blue economy. And when you address that, you provide providing jobs, you lift the people out of poverty. This is what we should be looking at. Thank you very much.
Thank you.